So hello everybody. I hope everybody's had a great weekend. Today we're going to take a look at this US Halftrack M21 with the 81mm mortar. It's a mortar carrier. I had built this one before a long time ago, like 30 years ago probably. 25, I don't know. It was a long time ago. It got lost or busted, I don't know. So I plan on building it again. If I remember right, it's a pretty easy build. Most of these Tamiya armored vehicles are fairly easy, not always the most accurate, but there are a lot you can do with them and they're not so hard to build. So let's take a look at the instructions first. So here you see there's a lot of information about it's about half tracks in general. They were started to be developed in the 30s. It talks about the Hanomag half track, the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251 in the by the Germans. After that, the U.S. Army realized that half-track offered a wider... After the successful use by the Wehrmacht, by the German Army, in Poland and France, the U.S. realized that half-tracks offered a wide range of roles than just artillery movers. They had already had the T-14 and M2 to use as personnel carriers. They made modifications to seat 10 men, storage for arms and equipment, longer body, and a rear door. The M3 was a standard armored half-track for infantry throughout the World War II, and they were used by other nations afterwards too. They further developed the M3 to support mortar platoons. That's where they got the M21 from. The first one was the M4, standardized in the 1940s. It was the basic M2 with revised stowage to allow 81mm mortars to be carried. After that, they further developed the M3. So instead of the motor facing to the rear, it faced to the front. It had a traversing mount, so it was more useful to the mortarmen. Here on the other side, we have our parts list, and you see there's 4 trees of plastic in dark green, plus some rubber parts, or poly parts, and a small transparent part. That would be the windshield. Also, there's a whole tree, a whole sprue with the crew. Don't know if I'll make that or not. I'm not really good at painting faces. So in number 1, we are working on the chassis. You already have the engine installed. You just have to put the transfer plate onto it. And there's another little part here to put on. A couple of small ones on the front. Number 2, more of the chassis. You have a drive shaft, leaf springs, exhaust, the shocks here in the front. You see the shocks are attached to the axles here for the front, and a couple hooks there. Number 3, constructing the front axle. I can't read either. So you have here, you see, you have here the brake drums and everything. Here is the rod for the front and the back plate of the axle here. Number 4, you're putting the wheels together. Number 5, constructing the suspension. This is the rear suspension. You have the like road wheels for the back here. They're not really road wheels, but you know what I mean. It's a half track, so I guess they are road wheels. The drive sprockets here. the drive wheels. Here's the bogies. This is building the bogies here. You have the front axle going on with the drive shaft, the two rear axles, and you put the bogies and the drive wheels and the front wheels on. Number 8, here's the radiator grill with the lights. This looks like the back door, the back of the vehicle. Here is the front, the cab. Yeah, you see you have all the gear shifters and everything. Here's the front fenders with the door panels. The dashboard with the instruments, gauges. Here you have put the front grille on, put the hood on, put the windshield into it. You have some jerry cans to build, and the Pioneer tools. Here build the machine gun, 50 cal I'm sure. Here you have the racks for the mortars. Some other parts around here, probably a radio, and here's the crew seats. Here building seats. Here construction of the tracks. These are sub-assemblies. Then we put the rear compartment on with the side skirts and the rear door, or the rear armor plate, the toe panel, an axe, more jerry cans, seats in the front as well. Here we got the door, probably the rear door, I'm pretty sure, it doesn't see. And the bumper as well. This might be a, I don't know, yeah, that's a winch. Has a winch. Goes in the front here, this piece. Here's the armor plate for the front with some holders for it. The front doors, and here's the track covers, steering wheel, the driver. Here, then we have the mortar. Got a bazooka. Have the transceiver, radio. Construction of the figures. So there's 4 figures in all, it looks like. And you have the mortar, the machine gun, antenna, and I'm not really sure what that is, but it might be a plate for the mortar. You can also put a cover on it. It says make a wire frame for it. And you have a bunch of equipment that goes on it. You can put the mortar on the ground as well. You have like, well, it doesn't say exactly what it is. It looks like blankets. This is probably a tarp. Another, maybe a tent. And toolboxes on the front. Spare wheel. Another antenna. And it looks like it's finished after that. And here we have paint instructions. Some of the painting instructions, like for the tarps and stuff, are already in there. I would probably just do a faded, like olive drab or something for the tents and tarps and stuff. And probably for these older US vehicles, I like to use this. I use the Model Master for the World War II ones, the lighter olive drab color, because it looks like it's just one paint job with olive drab. You have different units to change from. This is the 1st Armored 25th Infantry. I don't know what this one is, but it looks like the 195th 193rd Armored Regiment and the 771st Armored Regiment, but I don't know what division that is. You can see the age of this model kit with this decal sheet. This is, of course, a decal sheet for the M21. It is an old kit. The decals are yellowed, but there is a way to get rid of the yellowing. I had the same thing with my Star Trek USS Reliant. It was also an old kit. And you just have to be really careful when you loosen the decals up, and you have to wipe both sides off. The yellow does come off. But then you have to put it back on, wipe the paper off, and hopefully there's still enough glue on it to make it stick. Plus with something like decal set and decal saw, it works pretty good. The Reliant turned out good despite the problems. There's hardly any yellowing noticeable with it, and it was a lot worse than this one was. Other than that, it's a pretty simple decal sheet. You have the unit numbers, which I probably won't use the unit numbers anyways. I'll probably have my own unit numbers that I can use, and the stars. I'll see if they work or not. If not, I'm pretty sure I have extra ones. So now taking a look at the parts. Here we have sprue A. You see the chassis with the engine, exhaust. We have road wheels, support rollers, the front wheels, the sprockets. We have springs, axles. I don't see any flash on it. It's old, but maybe I got one of the earlier ones. No flash. Looks pretty good, actually. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of flash here. Okay, yeah, but it's really... I really don't see much of a problem with flash. It comes off really easily most of the time. Except for on some of the really old Revell kits. It has too much flash, and it doesn't come off easy because it's so thick. Because I guess the molds are damaged, or too worn out, or whatever. I don't know. But those have been really bad. You see there's pretty good detail in here with the bolts and everything. Looks pretty good. So also in this bag with sprue A were the poly parts, or rubber parts. You have the tracks, the wheels, and some poly caps. So everything moves, I guess. So continuing, we have sprue B. You see we have a figure, I believe it's a driver. We have the cab, front fenders, the grille, hood. Here's the sides, the doors and the side of the hood here. Got some jerry cans, Pioneer tools, and seats here. Once again, it does look, I like the look of the hinges here. I think they always do a pretty good job with hinges like that. You see some riveting in here as well. How accurate it is, I don't know. Here's the dashboard, and I think the gauges look pretty nice. Some riveting in here. Some little detail parts, the pedals and gears and stuff. Shifters. Seats look pretty goodly textured. Doors look good too. I think the figure looks pretty good as well. Once again, I don't see any flash here. Of course, on the bottom are pin marks, also on the sides here, but that's not really so bad. There's pin marks here on the insides of the doors, but I think the cab is pretty much enclosed, so it's not going to be a problem. There are some big pin marks here on the underside of the fenders. It's probably not going to be so noticeable. The tires are going to be in the way. I think it looks like a pretty good molding though. Also in the bag with tree B is a single clear part. It looks bent. You can see right there. Boom. Don't know how it would be bent if it was in the bag flat. Oh, unless it's supposed to be like that. Is there a bend in the windshield? No, the windshield's flat. But if you use put a clothespin on it when you glue it, it'll stay flat, I think. So here we are with sprue C. You see we have the back compartment, also the bottom of the back here. The side skirts, here's the back plate. There's like the radio, an arm, seat backs, more seats here. Some internal parts as well as the parts for the machine gun, and parts for the winch, ammo cans. I mean, it's kind of hard to paint when they're already in there, but it's doable. I know a lot of people spray. I do it by hand. You just have to, you can be messy and then a little bit, and then do the ammo afterwards. It's not so bad. Down underneath, once again, a lot of pin marks. Not really a problem. Also, I don't see any also, I don't see any flash on this either. The molding looks really good, I think, for being as old as it is. So here we have the last two sprues. There's a lot of detail parts and figures. You see we have some barbed wire here, like the tents and everything, the crew members. The bazooka. Here's the part of the stand for the tripod for the mortar, and plate for mortar. Here's mortars, there's 4 of them here. Are those bazooka ammo? No, those are bazooka ammo. I think there's a mortar here. And that's more bazooka ammo. Got shovels, some heads, and some machine gun. More bazooka ammo. There's a lot of it, different kinds. Parts look really good though. And this kit is older than I am. It's molded in 1976. I was born in 1979. Being as old as it is, I think it looks really good. I'm excited to build it again. Hopefully it fits together as well as it looks. I would give this, I mean, it looks like a really great kit, and I would give it a good score. It looks like it has a lot of detail parts. It has crew. I think it will build into a nice version of M21. I think this kit is really old. It's from 1976, and I was, that's older than I am. And I think being as old as it is, I mean, I've seen models from the 90s that don't even look that good. So I would say this is a really good kit, and it's gonna turn into a really good model. I'm sure there's probably I don't even know if the newer ones are like that, but I don't see the newer ones. I get some people have sales. They're trying to get rid of their stash and stuff, and I try to hit them when I can. I would give this kit a really good score. It looks really good. So in my next video, we'll be taking a look at this SU-57 again. My first video was really bad. So we're going to do it again and hopefully get a better one out of it. It's a really cool airplane, I think. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And until next time.